Hello my friends, 138 MMA here, and I'm going to break down the entire UFC 284 card from start all the way to finish. We're going to cover every single fight on this card. I'm going to give you my pick, my prediction, my analysis of the whole darn thing. And before we get into that, thank you so much for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, hey, welcome. We're glad to have you. We all like to see more people down in the comments. We all love to hear your picks, all that good stuff. So welcome. Please feel free to comment down below on any of the fights that I cover in this video. Thank you so much. Now, if you're a returning viewer, hey, thank you as well, because you've come back, you've enjoyed my content before, now you're back. You want to see this fight card broken down, and guess what? I'm here to do that for you. So I appreciate you all. Let's see you guys in that next fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, 138 MMA proudly brings to you the hottest picks in the world!
Zubaira Tukhugov taking on Elves Brenner. Now, Brenner is taking this fight on short notice. I do believe that this fight is now going to be at 155 pounds as well. It might have been scheduled for 155 before. I don't think it was. I think it became 155 because of the short notice. So, anyway, we're in the lightweight division now. Brenner's taking it on short notice. Tukhugov said, cool, because I don't want to cut the weight anyway. So there's that. In this matchup, for Brenner, he is very adept on the ground. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is solid. He does seek out the submission very well. He's aggressive in the submission attempts as well. Now, the Muay Thai on the feet, good, but his defensive striking is terrible. He does get hit a lot, and with this being a short notice fight, I think he's going to want to try to get this done quickly. At least that would make sense to me. So maybe that striking defense even gets worse as he's going aggressively for the striking. Now, on the other side, Tukhugov, solid wrestling, good grappling, decent striking. The reason I didn't put good is because he does occasionally suffer from low volume. Now, it's not like a constant thing. Sometimes he has good volume, and then he'll just kind of lull into no volume or very low volume. So, decent striking. He's pretty much well-rounded, good everywhere, really, more or less. The thing I don't like is that it's at 155 pounds. He is a natural 145er. Sure, he doesn't have to cut the weight here, but I think Brenner's going to have a bit more... Brenner's probably going to be the stronger of the two. I could be wrong about that, but I think Brenner's throwing big bombs in the Muay Thai department, and I think in the Jiu-Jitsu department is going to have a slight advantage there. But I do think Tukhugov is going to get this one done. I think he's the better fighter all around. It's not a short notice matchup for him. I mean, it is, but like he knew he was fighting at least on this card. So I think Tukhugov gets it done. I'm not going to spend a ton of time breaking this one down because the odds are unplayable. He's like minus 5-something, 580 or something like that, minus 600. So the odds are unplayable, but there you go. Let's move on to the featherweight matchup between Blake Bilder and Shane Young. Now, for Shane Young, he's 2-3 in his last 5-0 for the Bilder side. Now, Bilder, he is coming off the Contender Series win, which, well, that was a barn burner for sure. He does have a bit of a reach disadvantage here, but both guys are the same height. As you can see there, 68.5-inch reach as opposed to 72.5-inch reach. Now, in this matchup, it's going to be a battle of range, I think, because if Shane Young can keep this fight at range, he does have good striking. His range, working those straight punches, those long-rangey kicks, that's going to be the path to victory for him because the volume's there. He does have decent grappling, but I don't think that's going to be a good idea against Bilder, so we're not going to really talk too much about the grappling. The striking is where he needs to keep it, and he needs to keep it at range. Now, on the other side, for Bilder, his striking is just powerful looping hooks, overhands, and bombs, okay? Great. That's awesome for him if he can get in close to Shane Young, but I don't know that he can without getting close enough to go for the wrestling, and that's probably his best path to victory. So, using that wrestling, he does have good takedowns. He's very aggressive when it comes to it. When the fight gets to the mat, he's a very good back taker. And once he takes your back, that rear naked choke is there. That is what we will see out of Bilder if he is to get the win. He has the cardio to do it. But the big problem for Bilder is he has no defense whatsoever. I was going to write them all out. Takedown defense, striking defense, all of it. Everything. Anything defensively, he doesn't do it. He just gets beat up on the feet. You can take him down, you can take him down. Guess what? He'll get on the ground and scramble with you. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The dude doesn't defend anything. He is all offense all the time. Now, I kind of like that about him because in this matchup, I think it's going to go well. Do I think Shane Young can get him out of there? Nah, I don't think so. If Shane Young wins, he wins a decision. Do I think Blake Bilder can get Shane Young out of there? Definitely. He can crack him with a bomb, get him to the mat, get that rear naked choke. Blake Bilder could also win a decision just by dropping Shane Young multiple times. So more past the victory gives me Bilder. Bilder's the underdog right now, or at least he was prior to me recording this. And for me, I kind of like it. I'm playing Bilder here. Small play. I'm playing Bilder here. Might even play him inside the distance because I'm a wild man, but I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Either way, Blake Bilder's the pick. I think he just has more paths to victory, but if Shane Young can keep this at range, use his distance, use that reach, and just strike at range the whole 15 minutes, he might be able to get it done, and he probably will if he can keep it at that range. But for me, I'm taking Bilder. Let me know what you got. We've been flying through this card so far, but if you made it this far and you are enjoying yourself and you're liking the picks, you're liking the breakdowns, please do me a favor and hit like. I would really appreciate it. It helps this video go to more people. It helps me know that you appreciate what I'm doing, so please do that for me. I'd really appreciate it a lot. Now, let's get into this 115-pound strawweight matchup between Elise Reed and Loma Lookboonmee. Now, for Lookboonmee and Reed, what we have is 3-2 in their last 5 fights. This is actually a very well matched up fight. We have 7-3 versus 6-2, 3-2 versus 3-2. As far as records are concerned, this is a good matchup for the UFC, and this lets them know who they're going to keep around and who they're going to start looking to like maybe fade or give one more and just send them out the door if they don't do so well. So this is a good matchup for both of these ladies and for the UFC. In this one here, Reed is a bit taller. She's 5'3" as opposed to 5'1" for Lookboonmee. Lookboonmee is 61.5 inches in the reach department and 63 for Reed. So slight height and reach for Reed there. The striking is where this matchup should probably take place. Both girls can grapple all right. I'm going to point out the grappling first. Lookboonmee's good if she's on top. Not so good if she's on the bottom. She just gets held there. For Elise Reed, kind of the same thing. I didn't put it down there. I didn't feel like it was necessary because realistically, Lookboonmee and Elise Reed are primary strikers. So it's probably going to be in the striking most of the time. And if it does go to the ground, I do think whoever ends up on top is going to have the advantage. So that's what I mean there. Now, for Elise Reed, she's a decent striker. I do believe her background's in Taekwondo. It could have been karate, but I think it's Taekwondo. The way she stands, the way she throws her punches and kicks, it's very Taekwondo-esque. So for me, Taekwondo is not the best transition to mixed martial arts, but she does pretty well with it, especially in her regional scene fights. She did really well at snapping those kicks up there, kicking you in the face, using those Taekwondo-style punches that come through like that. Just if you couldn't see that, I don't know if you can see low enough, but either way. And something I saw from her in a few of her fights is that when I wrote smells blood, but what I mean by that is kind of like a shark when they smell blood in the water. If she's got you hurt, she'll throw a flurry at you and just go. And I do really like that about Reed. She is she's very aggressive when she needs to be. So she's smart enough to know that I've got this person hurt. I need to flurry here. And she does it. And she does it well. And she usually does it enough that the ref will stop the fight, at least in the regional scene. Now, her striking defense, on the other hand, is not super good. And that's not a good thing when you're fighting Lookboonmee, who has very good Muay Thai. Her Muay Thai is solid. It's got the volume to match up with that. She does mix in the trips to drop you to the ground. Usually she'll let you back up, but she'll mix in those trips to kind of keep you thinking about that so she can hit you with the strikes. For Reed, though, Reed is very durable. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because she doesn't have good striking defense, so she can eat the shots and continue to fire back. But it's a bad thing because she'll probably take a lot of damage in this matchup against a girl like Loma Lookboonmee. Now, my pick here, if you watch this channel for any length of time, you know that I don't like inconsistent fighters. And you know what? It came back to bite me last week when I picked Da Jung. And guess what? He's an inconsistent fighter. I pointed it out. I didn't want to pick him because he's inconsistent. And guess what he did? He went out there and lost the fight. He did horrible. Now, Da Jung's a good fighter overall. Just upset because I picked an inconsistent fighter and I should have known better. Either way, Elise Reed is inconsistent and I can't pick her for that reason. Loma Lookboonmee does have pretty darn good striking, so I'm going to take Lookboonmee. I do think she has enough takedown defense to stop Reed from taking her down, as that's not her primary art. And I do think that when it stays on the feet, Lookboonmee is going to have most of the advantages. So I'm taking Lookboonmee. Don't think I'm going to... I might bet it, but I'm feeling like a degenerate if I do. If I do, it'll be something wild like Lookboonmee by knockout or TKO or something like that. Either way, let me know what you guys have. I will see you in the next one. Featherweight. Now, real quick, and a reminder, if you've been enjoying this video so far, please do me a favor and hit that like button for me. I appreciate the heck out of you. Now let's get into this fight. So at featherweight, we have Don Shainis taking on Jack Jenkins. Now, Don Shainis, if you remember, took that short notice fight to fight Sadiq Yusuff. Short notice, stepped in. You know, that's a tough fight. You know, Sadiq Yusuff, heck of a fighter. Don Shainis is kind of getting some shade here, because Jack Jenkins is a massive favorite. Now, if you look at the last 5, 4-1, that means the only loss is Sadiq Yusuff, which I think Yusuff would beat Jenkins as well. So there's that. 5-0 in the last 5 for Jenkins, though, because he didn't step in and fight Sadiq Yusuff on short notice. So there's that. Now, in this matchup, it's going to be interesting because we have a slow starter in Jack Jenkins, or at least he appears to be, against a fast starter in Shainis. Now, for Shainis to win this fight, he's probably going to want to do it early. For Jenkins to win this fight, it's probably going to be a little bit later. Is that necessarily the truth? No, but just from watching the tape back, that's what I get out of it. So for Shainis, he's a fast starter, very aggressive. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is actually where his best asset, really. If he can get this fight to the mat, he can work his transitions, get to advantageous position. If he ends up on the bottom because of the wrestling of Jenkins, which is decent wrestling, he likes to mix in the takedowns and hold guys down. That might not be a good move against Shainis, because Shainis, he'll sweep you, flip on top, get up there, maybe flip an arm bar, start ground and pounding you, whatever. Shainis is pretty good on the ground. So, and on the feet, I didn't write it up there, but Shainis is just going to throw bombs at you. He's a fast starter, like I said, and he's very aggressive, going to try and walk you down real quick. Now, on the other side, we have Jack Jenkins. Now, Jack Jenkins is going to use his boxing. He has very good power in his hands. He can drop you, work behind his jab a little bit. He does sometimes get stuck in the single shot realm, though, where he'll just throw a jab and then let you, maybe throw the cross and let you wait and whatever. So he can get stuck in his single shots. But when he does throw his leg kicks, he can open up those hands a little bit better because those leg kicks are very heavy. And I do think that if Shainis comes out aggressive and gets this fight to the mat, there's a real chance he wins this fight. However, the pick's going to be Jack Jenkins. I just don't like that he's over minus 300. I don't think that's real. I think the only reason that is because Shainis took a short notice fight against Sadiq Yusuff, who is a step above both of these guys, and that's just the way that cookie crumbles. So for me, I'm picking Jack Jenkins. I don't like the odds. I don't think I want to parlay him with any. It's just too steep, darn it. I don't. If you've parlayed Jack Jenkins, I get it because he looks pretty good. He has a lot of height coming in. But man, Don Shainis isn't as bad as people think he is. So let me know who you've got in the comments. I'm picking Jenkins. Not the most confident pick. He might look like a world beater, and then I'll feel really good about it. But for now, But let me know you got it. 155 lightweight. We have Francisco Prado taking on Jamie Mullarkey. Now Mullarkey knew he was on this card. He's supposed to fight Haqparast. Haqparast got hurt, so he pulled out. We have another short notice fight. Now for Prado, this is a good shot for him because he's 11-0 now. 5-0 in his last 5, obviously. 3-2 in the last 5 for Mullarkey. Mullarkey does have a size advantage. He's 6 foot with a 74-inch reach as opposed to the 5'10", 71-inch reach of Prado. Now, in this one here, this is a tough one to predict because we've got an undefeated guy who obviously hasn't lost, but he hasn't really fought anybody that's like super high level. And I think Mullarkey's not like the lowest level at 155. He's not high level. He's not top 5, top 15 even. But I do think he's better than a lot of the lower level guys at 155. So this is going to be a tough matchup to step into, especially on short notice. So for Prado, he's going to start quick. He's very aggressive. He just comes forward. What's his cardio going to look like on short notice? I don't know, especially because he's aggressive anyway. We haven't seen him go too far in a fight. But he does have good Muay Thai. He can work in that clinch, but the most important thing is that he just throws bombs. Now, the takedown defense, shoddy. Do I think Mullarkey is going to try and take him down? I'm about 40% that he will. So I think 60% of me says he won't. So for me, I do think it's going to end up being a scrap on the feet. Mullarkey might mix in the wrestling, and if he does, his chances of winning go way through the roof. But if he doesn't, which I'm not sure that he will, it gets to be a little bit more tricky. Now, how do we figure that? Well, decent striking on the side of Mullarkey. It's not like he's super high level, but his volume's good, and he can just zombie through stuff. You can just punch him in the face, and he keeps throwing volume, gets hit, maybe rattle him, drop him, whatever. The dude just can take damage. But like I've highlighted here, his striking defense isn't very good because he eats a lot of shots. So on the scorecards, that can look bad for him, but he will break opponents a lot of times by walking through their damage and just hitting them back. And then as he breaks them down, that's it for him. His wrestling's decent if he mixes it in. Same with the grappling. He's kind of just pretty good everywhere. But he is a bit of a slow starter at times, and he'll give up the first round sometimes to a lot of different fighters. Now, in this matchup here, you got a guy that wants to start out like what that Meatloaf song was. So that was a really dated reference. I'm not even old enough for this. All right. Anyway, for Prado, I think it's Prado. Let me know if I'm right or wrong in the comments. But anyway, for him starting so gosh darn aggressive, that could be favorable for him because if he can catch Mullarkey early, could be it. Because dude hits really hard. So for me, I'm not going to place a bet on this fight particularly, but I kind of like the under 2.5 if you can get that one still. The under 2.5 in this is great for two reasons. One, Prado comes out hard, throws a bomb, puts Mullarkey out, or even just follows him down and TKOs him. Cool, got it there. Mullarkey weathers that first round. Predo's like, man, I thought I could get him out of there, and now my cardio's shot. I'm taking this fight on short notice, and Mullarkey's a freaking zombie. Well, then what? Well, Mullarkey starts putting it on, and I think can get him out of there because I don't think he's going to make it 3 rounds when at round 2 all the way through, the first half of the third round, Mullarkey's just putting it on him. So I don't think he's going to make it to the end there. So under 2.5, I do like that. For the sake of a pick, I'm going to take the slight lean on Mullarkey, but I'm not confident in him at the odds. The odds are a bit high, like I said in a few of these already, but I do like the under. So let me know what you guys think. Now we got a flyweight matchup here. We have Shannon Ross taking on Kleydson Rodrigues. Now for Rodrigues, he's 4-1 in his last 5. That one loss being to CJ Vergara, which is very, very close. Let's put it that way. I don't know. A lot of people thought he won. Either way, very close fight. 4-1 in his last 5. For Shannon Ross, he's 3-2 in his last 5. Now, this match here does have a spot that I really like in it. I'm going to go cover all that in just a moment. Now, for Shannon Ross, he's a very aggressive striker, tons of volume, but he does get hit while he's throwing that volume. He is a decent wrestler as well, which could come in handy for him because the takedown defense of Rodrigues isn't that great. Now, Rodrigues can mix in his own takedowns. He's okay at that. I didn't write it up there, but he's okay at that. However, Shannon Ross is probably the more likely to be able to get the takedown on Rodrigues because Rodrigues, his takedown's not that good. His takedown defense is not that good, I mean. Now, in the striking department, we have some good Muay Thai out of Rodrigues, and this is what I really like about Rodrigues is he mixes up his strikes, so his punches, his kicks, his whatever, knees, elbows, all the good stuff, and he mixes it to all levels, legs, body, head, just mixes everything up, You want to check the different levels, the different height, okay? You want to check depth and width. If you watched my Islam Makhachev versus Alex Volkanovski video, it's good. You can kind of get the reference there. If not, it's going to be at the end of this video, so check that out when it gets there. Either way, he mixes up his strikes to different levels, checking different axes, if you will. Now, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu he has is very good once it gets to the mat. So if the takedown does come from Ross, well, he can transition, he can sweep, he can take his spot and get to where he needs to get, whether that's back up to the feet or start searching for a sub of his own. So for me in this matchup, I do think Kleydson Rodrigues probably gets it done, but the thing I like the most in this matchup is the under. Because it's plus money for under 2.5, and I do think that there's a finish in this matchup, whether that's because the aggressive volume of Shannon Ross gets him a TKO, maybe he even gets the takedown and TKOs him there, maybe, or Rodrigues gets the finish either on the feet with that Muay Thai that we talked about, or that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when the fight gets to the mat. So for me, I think Rodrigues is the pick as far as the pick goes, but I do like the under in this matchup just a little bit better as you can get it at better odds, and I do think that if there is a win there is going to be a win, unless we get a draw again, I guess. But when there is a win in this matchup, I do think it comes in the way of a finish. So for me, Rodrigues, I do like the under 2.5. Let me know what you have, and I'll see you. So in this matchup, we have Melsik Baghdasaryan coming in 5-0 in his last 5 fights, taking on Joshua Culibao, 3-1 and 1 draw in his last 5. Now, Culibao does have a bit of a height and reach advantage here. He's 5'10 with a 73-inch reach as opposed to the 5'9", 70-inch reach of Baghdasaryan. This matchup is between a couple of guys that primarily like to strike. Now, if anyone is to mix in the grappling and wrestling, I would say that is the Culibao side, and he is pretty decent in that category. Most importantly, when he gets on top, his ground and pound is very heavy. You wouldn't want to get hit by it. It does damage when he does the ground and pound. So it's not just the light taps that you're just trying to get the ref to stop it because you hit him like 100 times and didn't hurt him at all. Now this dude's throwing bombs when it's on the ground. Now, and that's the same the way that he throws strikes on the feet. So his boxing, good boxing for Culibao. The power's there, and he uses the leg kick to set up the hands. He'll bring that leg kick in hard, then fling those punches down range at you. Mixes in for some combinations there. Nothing too wild, but he is throwing with power in everything that he has in just about every shot, or at least like 80-90% in every shot. Now, on the other side, we have Baghdasaryan, who kind of picks his shots just a little bit differently. Now, his kickboxing, very high level. His kicks are absolutely nasty. But he does throw in combination, and he will mix those kicks and punches together to do that. And the footwork that he uses makes that easy for him because he can dance around the outside, hit you with the kick, hit you with some punches, hit you with the kick on the exit as well, maybe. He can mix those things in. And even better, because he's so light on his feet with that footwork, he can use his counter striking to kind of, play the matador and get the ball to come in and off to the side and boom, drop that right hand at you. Maybe hit you with the switch kick, maybe whatever. Something wild to just set it up, hit you with a shot. But he uses the counter and the footwork very well. Now, he does have good clinch striking. So if this does get into wrestling range and Culibao tries to shoot a takedown, doesn't get it, well, they can end up in the clinch. And when they end up in the clinch, Baghdasaryan's good at striking there, but he also can mix in the trip. Trip you, drop you down, let you back up, go back to striking range, back at his distance. Now, if you come in again, if he stops that takedown, he can bring you up to the clinch, work that striking again, trip you down, let you back up. Bank some points there, bank some rounds that way. If there's a finish in this fight, it's probably coming on the Culibao side or a nasty kick from Baghdasaryan. Now, if it goes to decision, I'm fairly sure that Baghdasaryan gets the win unless he just totally gasses out somewhere in there, and I don't think that we'll see that. But otherwise, I think the decision is more likely for Baghdasaryan. The finish is more likely Culibao, other than the kick from Baghdasaryan that could put out just about anybody. So, for me in this matchup, this is a tough one. And when I first saw the odds, I was leaning Culibao. Then I was leaning Baghdasaryan. And then I thought, well, what if Culibao can get Baghdasaryan to the ground? And I started leaning Culibao again. And now I'm picking Baghdasaryan. But I'm just going to watch this one. This one's the kick the feet up on the coffee table, crack open a root beer, toss it back and enjoy. I don't have a play here. I like the fight. I think it's going to be fun. But I don't want to bet it. I think this one's just watch. I don't have a good enough read on who's the better fighter here. So that's where I'm at. But I'll pick Baghdasaryan for the sake of a pick. Let me know who you have. I would love to hear your opinion down in the comments. And we will match up here in the light heavyweight division. We have Tyson Pedro taking on Modestas Bukauskas. Now, Bukauskas is coming back after getting released from the UFC after Roundtree snapped his leg in two. I guess dislocated it or whatever it was. That nasty kick to the knee that popped that son of a gun in two. Now, Bukauskas then had some fights outside the UFC after he recovered. Made his way back here to take this fight on short notice against Tyson Pedro. Now, this matchup, you might see a lot more writing over here, and that's because I put a little bit more time into breaking down Bukauskas, not because I felt like it was necessary to understand the fight, but because I just don't think that there's as much that Pedro really does in his fights, and that's not a bad thing necessarily. So, let's get into it, okay? So, in their last 5, 3-2 for Pedro. He's undefeated since his long return. And 2-3 for Bukauskas. Now, Bukauskas had a pretty good run outside the UFC. Now, that's why he's back, obviously. And I thought the guy had a tough run anyway. He lost to some good fighters in the UFC. You lose 3, you get cut. It happens. But, I mean, realistically, they were some of the tougher guys in the division at 205. And, it sucks. It's just the hand you get dealt. So, anyway. So here's what we've got. Now for Bukauskas, he is taking on short notice, like I said, but that cardio is always there for him, so I don't think we have to worry too much about that. It's just, has he been able to prepare for the game plan of Pedro? Now, his striking, decent, not bad, does decent volume. I do like his footwork, but the problem is with someone with heavy forward pressure, he can be backed up. So if he gets backed up, that could be a problem for him here. And against a guy like Pedro, we could see that happening because Pedro's kind of... He's kind of just like, what's the word? He's really just cemented his spot as this big knockout guy now that he's back and knocked out a couple of guys already. So, and the problem with Bukauskas in the striking is that he will drop his hands upon return. So what I mean by that is after he throws his punches, they come down sometimes instead of coming right back to the cheeks. Thumbs to cheeks is what I always learned. So thumbs to cheeks. If your thumbs can touch your cheeks, you're defending. You're going to be able to touch that. Either way, he drops his hands sometimes after he throws his punches. It happens. Shouldn't happen against Pedro, or he might go to sleep because Pedro hits very hard. Now, on the ground, decent grappling, but his ground and pound volume is what I like the best. If he can get on top, start swinging that volume, great. And I say on top, well, because he probably isn't getting taken down in the UFC. He's never been taken down, but in the regional scene he has, or on the regional scene, sorry. If he does get taken down, he doesn't waste time on his back. He hops right back to his feet as quick as possible, and it's usually very quick. His takedown defense, like I said, it's lights out. So, in this matchup against Pedro, what are we going to get? Well, prior to the layoff, you all have heard it before, his grappling is where his bread got buttered, all right? And his ground and pound was nasty. Now, that's probably still true. But do I think he's going to use it in this fight? Probably not. Why? Well, we haven't seen it since he's come back, and he's had 2 fights now. And also because I don't think he's getting Bukauskas down because Bukauskas is, excellent takedown defense. And if he does, he's popping right back up. So I think this is going to end up being a striking matchup. Now, what do we have here? We have decent striking from Pedro. It's not super polished by any means, but he hits very hard. And the fact that he mixes in those leg kicks, which are solid leg kicks, might give some flashbacks to Bukauskas here. Because if I was him and I saw somebody like Tyson Pedro flinging leg kicks at me, I'd be worried that thing was going to snap in two. Now, so that's where I'm thinking there. The thing that I noted here is that the fight IQ of Pedro seems to have improved in his time off. Now, I don't think it was horrible before, but he seems to be making better decisions in his fights now than he was before, because before the layoff, he had like kind of a rough spot, because those two of the three wins here are obviously since he's come back. So before his last three fights before leaving, he was 1-2. So what's that mean? Well, that means Tyson Pedro's doing better already now that he's back. So there we go. But anyway, so the fight IQ looks to have improved some. I do think that the power is going to be a big problem for Bukauskas, especially on short notice. So I'm going to slightly lean on the Pedro side. When it opened, the odds were incredibly crazy for Pedro. And if you got the money on Bukauskas then, you got insane value because he was like plus 800 or something crazy, or 700 maybe. I don't know. Either way, Bukauskas has a better shot than that in this matchup. But now that it's down to like minus 200 for Pedro, that's about probably where it should be. I do think he probably wins. Maybe not quite minus 200, but somewhere around there. So I would pick Pedro. I'm not going to bet it. I don't think I'm going to bet it. I might convince myself to put in like fight doesn't go the distance because that probably isn't going to happen. But yeah, that's my pick. Let me know who you guys have. Let's go to the light heavyweight division, a division that really needs somebody to emerge. We have Alonzo Menifield taking on Jimmy Crute. Now, Jimmy Crute, 2-3 in the last 5 fights. Can that be right? That's right. I just double-checked my notes. 2-3 in the last 5. This is a guy that was coming up as a big prospect, and now he's 2-3 in his last 5, albeit to some of the better guys in the division. Now, for Alonzo Menifield, he's 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Now, Menifield, kind of a guy that started out not so good. Started out more kind of like on like where Jimmy Crute's at now, where you're like, is he any good? I don't know. And now he's been on a bit of a run, 4-1 in his last 5, as you can tell. Now, he is 35, so he's starting to get a bit older, obviously. 26 on the side of Crute, so it's at the time that he can really start to rocket himself to the top if he can string together a few wins. Now, for Menifield, he's a very athletic individual. He's extremely powerful. That's in the striking. The grappling doesn't matter. He's just powerful in general. When he punches you, you're going to know it. When he swings those bombs, it's gonna hurt. He's very fast as well, but he can get a bit wild. So problem with Menifield is sometimes he does get a little bit wild and can be countered. For Jimmy Crute, he's a big, powerful striker as well, but he also gets a bit wild. So on the feet, I think this is going to be a slugfest. These guys are going to get crazy. Now, when it goes to the mat, who is going to get it there? Now, for Jimmy Crute, he's probably the better pure wrestler here. He does have good takedowns. His takedown volume is there. He will keep shooting those takedowns when he starts getting them going. And once he gets on top, he just lays on that ground and pound relentlessly right away. But the problem is he doesn't exactly keep people down all the time. He struggles to hold them down. They pop back up after he lays some ground and pound, and then they get back up, and then it's back to the feet. Well, what happens when they're back on the feet? That gives Menifield a chance to throw that big power. It also gives Menifield a chance to work in his own his own wrestling. Menifield likes to slam people hard. We saw it in the regional scene, especially before he even got to the UFC. Some of the slams that dude had, whoo! So in the UFC, though, he has shown some wrestling as well. He fought what's-his-face with the bad record, or with a crazy record that was like half fake or whatever. And he just laid on him for 3 rounds. I don't know. He's wanted to prove that he could. I don't know. It was a weird one. The interview was very strange afterwards. But anyway, in the wrestling department for Menifield, his takedown defense throughout his UFC tenure is 85%, which is actually really impressive. Because at the UFC level, to have an 85% takedown defense, you're doing something right. So with that, say Menifield does get on top of Crute, his ground and pound's gnarly. Menifield will hurt you with that ground and pound bad, and the top pressure is there. He can stay on you, lay on you, keep that ground and pound coming. So from the top pressure side of things, Menifield's better there. But I'd say Jimmy Crute is the better wrestler overall. I don't know what I think about that. Crute's the favorite. It's a pretty close matchup on paper, I think. I lean Menifield. I think he gets the knockout. I think he puts Crute down. I think Crute's got some damage acquired throughout his fight so far. I think he's a very talented prospect, don't get me wrong. But I think it's going to take him a little bit to get the wrestling going. And if he does, especially against a guy that can stuff takedowns. And if he does get it going, I think he's going to let Menifield back up a couple of times. An athletic fellow like Menifield is going to be able to get back up at least once or twice. I think he's going to be able to hit Jimmy Crute and probably put him down. So I'm going to pick Menifield here. I think he's like plus 185, plus 180, something like that. I'm picking too many dogs on this card. It's kind of scaring me, but I like Menifield. Let me know what you guys have. Yeah, I'm just picking the athlete, I guess, in this one. See you guys in the next one. A heavyweight bout here, folks. We've got Justin Tafa taking on Parker Porter. Now, there's not a ton to say about Justin Tafa. 2-3 in his last 5. He's the younger guy here. He's 29. What's he going to do? He's going to go out there. He's going to throw some friggin' monstrous, powerful strikes. And he's got a chin to back it up. That's what he's going to do. We saw the Hunsucker fight that he had where, yeah, I know Hunsucker's not the best fighter, but the dude blocked with 2 arms that head kick from Tafa and still got knocked out. Tafa kicks like a freight train. Punches just as hard. And he's got a chin, and if you punch him, he's just going to walk through that stuff and just keep going and throw bombs of his own. Parker Porter, on the other hand, he's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. One of those was to Jailton Almeida, so there's no shame in that. He is 37 years old, so he's a little bit on the older side. Now, he's the better fighter overall in this matchup, but Justin Tafa is the better for the knockout, I guess. So if Justin Tafa wins, it's going to be by knockout. I don't think if it goes to a decision that Justin Tafa stands a chance, because Parker Porter is a much better fighter than Justin Tafa. Parker Porter is the guy. Parker Porter's a guy that in that big bunch of heavyweights, there's a big bunch of them. Parker Porter's in there. Justin Tafa's in there. Jared Van Der's in there. Jeff Parisian's in there. Chase Sherman's in there. You know the group. Like all the heavyweight guys that are just in this big mass where any given day, any of them can beat any of them, it kind of seems. And they're all kind of like good enough to be in the UFC. Not quite good enough to really move to the upper echelon. Well, Parker Porter is by far the best in that bunch. And he's trying to get himself out of there. But then he goes in there and just gets beat pretty badly by Jailton Almeida because Jailton Almeida is a monster. So anyway, Parker Porter is the best of that bunch, skill for skill. In this matchup, there's one thing I don't like about it, and it's his striking. Now, he's a decent striker with good volume, but he leaves his chin exposed when he is striking. Not so much all the time. It's not always just out there, but it's when he's striking. And we know that the chin of Tafa is pretty darn strong, so when he's getting punched in the face, the dude can just throw back and hit a bomb and knock out Porter because he hits very, very hard. So, big path to victory for Tafa is the knockout. Any other way that this goes, Parker Porter is the better fighter. He's tough as nails, so maybe he can eat the shot. I don't think so because I don't think anybody's going to eat that shot. But he's the better wrestler. He's good at working that cage push, slow you down. His grappling's good. Parker Porter's a good fighter. He's not a top-tier heavyweight, especially at this age. He's 37, like I said. But he's a good fighter, and he's 3-2 in his last 5 over some of the guys that I think probably would have a pretty good matchup against Justin Tafa. So, for me, the pick's Parker Porter, and I'm an idiot because I saw him at plus 120, or plus 125, and I've got 2 units on Parker Porter. It's really crazy. I don't know how well that's going to go, but money's coming in on Parker Porter, and here's my plan. Hear me out. As we get closer, if we can get Tafa at close to even money or even money, I'll play him straight. We're gonna just take free money regardless. But if it's not, and he still stays like kind of a slight favorite, I'm gonna put 2 units on Justin Tafa by knockout. Should be plus money, especially where the odds are at. So then I win no matter what. And that's how I like to play MMA. So, and I think you guys can still do that, so hopefully you get to it before it changes. You can get Parker Porter as a dog, and you can play Justin Tafa for the exact same amount of money by knockout. And I do believe that the only path to victory in this for Tafa is the knockout. I could be wrong, but I don't see another way. But then you win money either way, and not everybody's happy that way. So my pick is Parker Porter. I'm probably overexposed, and if somehow this backfires on me, then that's going to suck. Watch Justin Tafa get like a submission or something. I don't know. Either way, let me know what you guys have. See you guys in the next video. Outside of the main event, I think this fight right here has the most hype surrounding it. It's our welterweight matchup between Jack Della Maddelena and Randy Rude Boy Brown. So in this one here, I think that this matchup is very exciting to the fans for a couple of reasons. One, Della Maddelena is a hot prospect coming up. Obviously, he's 5-0 in his last 5 fights. In fact, his only 2 losses are his first 2 fights in his pro career. Now, for Randy Brown, though, he's been around a while. We know his name. He's very accomplished. 4-1 in the last 5. He's looked pretty darn good in his UFC tenure. Just not quite made it to that next level yet to be like in the top, but he's very good, and he's a very hard style for people to fight. So this matchup is very interesting because on one hand, you got Randy Brown coming in to fight Della Maddelena in his hometown and, play upset here. Or Della Maddelena is the prospect everybody thinks he is, and he's going to come in and run over Randy Brown, who likes to talk a lot of smack. So this is going to be a good fight. I think that the crowd's really going to get behind this one, and I think there's a good reason that all the fans so far have been buzzing about this fight. Outside of the main event, this is probably the most talked about fight on the card. And that's even over the co-main event, which is for an interim title. So anyway, let's break this one down, shall we? We have the 6'3", 78-inch reach of Randy Brown taking on the 5'11", 73-inch reach of Della Maddelena. Now, for Maddelena, he is going to be the shorter guy, and that's not normally the case for him at 170. He's usually right around there. Could be taller, could be shorter. He's not usually this much shorter. Let's put it that way. 78-inch reach is hard to combat, and so is 6'3". Now, if you've seen any of my videos, I beat this one to death. The punching up does wear you out. Now, Della Maddelena is primarily a boxer. Now, if you see right there, I put excellent MMA boxing. Now, I say MMA boxing because it's not the same as traditional boxing because he doesn't just go on that lead foot, bob his head, dip, move, bob and weave, stuff like that. Because in MMA, you're going to get kicked in the face doing that, or your leg's going to get kicked right out from under you. He'll come in, and he'll stand somewhat like a boxer, more like a kind of a kickboxer, because he'll mix in the leg kicks as well. And he's not just, sometimes he'll get a little heavy on that lead leg, but it's not for an extended period of time. And he's not just standing there like a boxer, bobbing and weaving his head. And, it's just a bad idea in MMA. So he has excellent MMA-style boxing. Now, the forward pressure's there. He looks to cut off the cage. Throws with volume, combination. He works it to the body even. Something that I also like is he'll work behind that jab, and he'll walk you down with the jab. Once he gets into the pocket, the dude can hit you in the body, come up top. Just tears you up. He'll mix the elbows in. A little dirty box in there, getting in with the clinch even. But the thing that makes this all work out is that he can mix in those leg kicks as well to get inside. And against a guy like Randy Brown who's got those long-ass legs, you're going to see those things, and you'll be able to kick them from pretty far out. Now, at range, though, Randy Brown can kick you from about a mile away, as you see here. He can kick from about a mile away, and his arms are obviously going to be way longer, so he can throw that straight down the pipe, and coming at a downward angle, he can throw that thing pretty hard, have a little zip to it, and maybe back up old Maddelena here. So for Randy Brown, the range is going to be crucial. He's going to need to not let the cage get cut off, circle off, try to get back into the center, throw his shots. He's going to get backed up. That is almost certain. But if he can keep it range, that is a good way for him to land shots on Maddelena without taking any severe damage. The problem, though, is that he sometimes will do that lean back defense, the terror squad defense. You know what I mean? Now, when he does that, the problem is with a guy like Maddelena who's going to throw in combination and then go to the body even, that lean back defense isn't as effective. That lean back defense is great when you're, dodging a shot to the face, especially when you're that tall. But if he goes like this and the next shot's to the body, well, guess what's now exposed and all stretched out? Those ab muscles, those obliques, the core. So for Della Maddelena, I do think that he is going to be able to capitalize on that a couple of times in this matchup. Now, will Randy Brown learn from that and then say, oh, I can't do that again, and then go on to win the fight? Yeah, maybe. But we're going to find that out for sure. Now, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu of Randy Brown is pretty darn good, and I do think if this fight gets to the mat, Randy Brown is going to be a sizable favorite there. But the wrestling, decent. I don't know if it's good enough to get Maddelena down, especially with the way that he mixes in the uppercut to, make you not really want to cross that distance. So for me, when I look at this matchup, I think it comes down to how is Randy Brown going to do about keeping the range? What's the likelihood that he can get this to the mat? And what's the likelihood that he can keep away from getting pushed into a corner? Now, I know there's not corners in an octagon. Well, I mean, they're very small anyway, and they're more kind of almost rounded out. But what's stopping him from getting backed up to a spot where he don't want to be? And if he can get out of that, if he can use that footwork to circle off and get away, he's got a real shot. But I do think Jack Della Maddelena is going to get this done. It's in front of his hometown crowd. The dude's going to be coming through aggressive as all heck. We've seen him eat a shot before. He can take one. I think the way that he's going to come in with that boxing-heavy approach, I think he's going to be able to catch Randy Brown. I kind of like the under in this matchup because I do think if it goes to the ground, Randy Brown's going to be able to put Maddelena to sleep, get him in a choke, put him out, maybe lock up an arm, something like that. I do think Randy Brown's good enough on the ground that he can get the submission there. But if it stays on the feet over 15 minutes, I think Jack Della Maddelena gets this one done, and I think he gets it done in under 2.5 rounds, just putting the volume on Randy Brown, mixing those leg kicks to slow that movement, throwing the hands. So I like the under in this matchup. I do like Jack Della Maddelena here. I would say you could parlay him, but there's not much to parlay it with, so I don't know. Either way, that's my pick. Let me know who you have. I'm sure a lot of you are going to disagree, but I'm sure a whole lot of you are also going to say Jack Della Maddelena, future big prospect. So love to hear it. We'll see you guys in the featherweight interim championship. Now, real quick reminder, please like this video if you haven't done so already, as long as you're enjoying yourself anyway. Maybe consider subscribing if you'd like to see more of this content. Now, here we are. So, Yair Rodrigues taking on Josh Emmett for the interim championship. Do we need an interim championship? No, probably not. But do we want one? Yeah, we do, because that's what we get with this fight. And now it's a 5-rounder, which should be a good time. So, for Josh Emmett's last 5, he is 5-0. For Yair Rodrigues, he is 3-1-1, no contest in that last 5. Now, that one loss there is, I do believe, to Max Holloway. The no contest was, of course, the matchup with Brian Ortega, where the shoulder popped out right away. So, anyway, this matchup here, the older fighter, Josh Emmett, 37, seems to be performing at a pretty high level, even though he is 37 years old, and that's usually an age at featherweight where you're kind of getting up there a lot. But he seems to be performing very well, obviously, because he's 5-0 in his last 5, so that's nice. Now, for the younger fighter, Yair Rodrigues, he's in the prime of his life. He's 30 years old. The dude's 5'11" with a 71-inch reach, which is going to be much bigger than the 5'6", 70-inch reach of Emmett. Now, in the striking department, which is where this fight will most likely take place most of the time, we've got an interesting one. Because Emmett, good striker, tons of power. He works behind his jab pretty well, and he likes to cut off the cage and just back you down, work that jab, cut off this cage, back you down, work that jab, and then throw a powerful shot that's going to put you on your butt. Josh Emmett's very good at doing that, but he's fighting a guy that's much taller and longer, and also a very dynamic striker with good footwork, speed, and can mix his strikes probably much better than Emmett does. He mixes in the kicks with the punches. He'll leap up in the air and kick you in the face. Whatever he's got to do. His striking is much more versatile, but it's also a lot of big movements, and a lot of those big movements can sometimes leave you exposed, get you caught. So in the striking, this matchup is interesting. When it comes to the wrestling and grappling, the grappling of Yair Rodrigues is pretty good. Don't get me wrong. He often gets overlooked for his grappling credentials or his grappling skills. I do think his grappling is pretty good. I do think Emmett, though, being a good wrestler, if he decides to mix that in, could potentially use that as a good path to victory. Now, when I saw this matchup come out and I saw Emmett was the underdog, I immediately wanted to play Emmett. I still would play Emmett if it wasn't for the concerns of an injury. Now, there are rumblings on the web that Josh Emmett has a hip injury that he's not going to get fixed because he doesn't want to skip out on this fight. And a hip injury, for any of you wrestlers out there, know that that's going to mess up his wrestling. And if he's not going to wrestle very much, well, guess what? That means he's going to be striking. If he's going to be just striking with Yair Rodrigues, I think Yair Rodrigues wins this fight. So maybe you guys can let me know in the comments below if you can absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, confirm or deny the hip injury of Emmett. Please let me know. I'm not going to bet this fight unless I know for certain that Josh Emmett at least has the ability to mix in that wrestling, because if he does, we saw Max Holloway do that and get Yair Rodrigues down, and I do think Emmett's the better wrestler than Holloway. Holloway likes to box with you, and Max Holloway was able to use that to secure the rounds when he needed to, and I do think Emmett is smart enough to do that because Emmett is a guy who does have pretty good fight IQ. So if he's not injured whatsoever, I would lean Emmett. But if he's got this injury, he's had other lingering injuries in the past. Yair Rodrigues, younger, physically, taller, lankier, mixes up really well with them strikes, and I just think that Yair Rodrigues is going to get this done if Josh Emmett isn't absolutely at 100% peak physical condition. So for me right now, the pick is going to be Yair Rodrigues, and I'm not going to bet this fight. Going to kick my feet up on the coffee table, crack open a couple of cold root beers, and enjoy this one, getting ready for the main event, get me all warmed up and ready to roll. But, like I said, if you guys can confirm or deny that Josh Emmett is either injured or not injured at all, I might consider throwing something on Josh Emmett because the dude's tough as nails and he throws bombs, and I could see that over 5 rounds, Yair Rodrigues doing some jump kick or whatever, gets caught midair, drops down to the ground, Emmett dives on top of him and pounds his face in. Or Emmett just, has close rounds with him, but every round when it's close decides to get the takedown about, a minute left in the round and bank some minutes there, land some ground and pound, and win it that way. So, like I said, picks Yair Rodrigues for right now. The injury scares me. Let me know what you guys know, please. If you find out to confirm or deny without a shadow of a doubt, let me know in the comments. Let me know who you have, and I appreciate y'all very much. We'll see you in the main event, and this will be the last time I nag you for this. If you could please just do me a big favor and like this video, I'd really appreciate it. It shows me that you guys care about this stuff that I'm doing here. It shows me that you like to see the content that I'm putting out. And do yourself a favor. Subscribe to the channel so you can see all my stuff. You can check right back with me to see if I put out a new video. Typically, my UFC cards come out the Tuesday before the fight card. Bellator cards, when those come out, who knows? It's usually the weekend before, but who knows? Either way, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming, and here's the main event. Now, if you've already seen my full detailed analysis on this fight, I'm going to have it pop up on screen. It might have already. It's going to pop up on screen at some point to link you to that. That's what you're going to want to look at. Now, I'm going to give you who the pick was. The pick was Islam Makhachev. Now, if you'd like to see how I got to that conclusion, here's obviously the notes, but I explain it a little bit more in depth as the video's a bit lengthy. But to save this video from being 2 hours long, I just put that into another video. So anyway, I will link that here at the end of this video. It's probably already up on screen. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. See you guys next time.